Hi, I'm Carcino. Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and yes, once again, it's on. I mean, Scottie Pippen. My goodness. You almost feel bad for him because you're like, man, he just don't get it. You ever see somebody that just don't get it? It's like, are you serious, dude? You really don't understand what this is. Scottie Pippen is really delusional. This interviewer was terrible, by the way. I was the questions, the line of questioning, the questions that's been answered that he continuously asked. It was like talking to a 12-year-old who was just excited to meet somebody. It was like, this is Scottie Pippen. You can run into him at the mall. It's like all this attention that celebrities and status quo, when athletes run into each other, and you're getting another athlete's take on what's happening because they were there. So, got to listen to them. They know what's up. But you got to remember, a lot of this stuff, he's emotional about how the Chicago Bulls portrayed him when Tony coached. He was hurt. It's like that's what actually happened. It's part of Bulls history. You don't want to talk about it no more. But you did an interview when they asked you questions about it. And then act as if you didn't know what was going to happen or what was happening. Look, everybody has their time in the sun. And everybody has their time to shine. And was Scottie Pippen a great piece to be on the team? Yes. But was he a franchise player that's going to lead your team to victory every night? No. Mm-mm-mm. So Scottie wanted to talk about Isaiah Thomas and saying how that played out. It was quite interesting to hear him say it. But let's listen to Scott.
11, 12,
40.
13 assists,
Right.
then that's 30 points.
Did you know the story that what he did that day, not shaking hands, getting off the field, lamb beer, all of that stuff? And Michael, you're like, yeah, he's not going to be on the. Did you know that story behind closed doors?
When that happened, that had nothing to do with the Dream Team. That was in 91. That was our first title. So I don't even think I was on the Dream Team at that time.
Well, yeah, you were. Because there was a list. They just probably haven't called and contacted everyone yet. But the list was done a year before the Olympics even took off. So, yeah, that's how it was back then. Scotty. You don't really understand what it is that you're doing, man. You're really destroying your own legacy. What very little of it is remaining. He sounds very confused, and the interviewer is all over the place. But let's start with his delusion of an NBA elite basketball player. Scottie Pippen was a great role player. That's like us praising Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton's a great complimentary player, but you're not going to win with that guy leading the team.
11, 12,
40.
13 assists,
Right.
then that's 30 points.
Did you know the story that what he did that day, not shaking hands, getting off the field, lamb beer, all of that stuff? You know, and Michael, you're like, yeah, he's not going to be on the. Did you know that story behind closed doors?
You know, when that happened, that had nothing to do with the Dream Team. That was in 91. That was our first title. So I don't even think I was on the Dream Team at that time. The Dream Team stuff came up in 92, or, right as that season was starting to get underway.
But I'm talking like Isaiah not being there, and you guys are playing, and the guys are talking to one another. Some guys are also kind of like, wow, he's here, but Isaiah's not here. Was it a known fact that Isaiah wasn't on because of Michael? Because the coach was, who was your coach? You guys had the coach that.
I think it
This guy, I just had to let that play so that you guys can understand what the situation really was and how much this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. This guy's talking about the field. Nobody has ever called the basketball court the field. When these guys are on the field in the time with Lambeer and not shaking you guys' hands. Like, dude, there's players today that don't shake hands. They walk off and go to their locker rooms. It happens in every game. Why are y'all making this like the end all be of? He didn't shake Michael Jordan's hand. So that's why he didn't get on the Dream Team. Like, yeah, well, he didn't shake his hand. Like, that's the reason why. It's like, you guys sound so goddamn stupid for that to be the reason why, instead of saying that's bullshit. This dude deserved to be on there. Oh my God. It is a terrible situation to have to deal with because you're stuck in a conundrum that doesn't really quite add up. And when you see it, it just really cracks your soul to hear people just disrespect the game that you have definitely put your life into. You put your life into watching these sports. And when you put your life into watching these sports and doing these activities, you put yourself into a situation that is not what you would call ideal. And when you hear somebody who doesn't watch the games, they only watch the events, right? They only watch the events. They don't pay attention to anything other than you're stuck. You're absolutely stuck. And I'm just like, what is this guy asking questions even effing talking about? Like, there's a shorter route to take to get to that point. And for what? That's what I'm saying. And for what? Scottie Pippen, he said it himself, was one of the youngest players on the team. He has no power. That was in the middle of their first championship run. They hadn't even won yet. So when they walked off the court on the Bulls, like who the was the Bulls? You know, that's what I'm saying. Who were they? They were nobodies. The Pistons were back-to-back world champions, been to the finals 3 straight times in a row. And the disrespect that is used when it comes to that team is unfathomable. And this guy, who's a complete novice to doing these type of interviews, you could tell he's into politics or something, and that's his wheelhouse. And he doesn't know how to ask these questions that he's trying to ask, and he sounds ridiculous in asking them. It irritates me to hear his voice talk basketball. It's just really depressing. But let's listen to Scottie.
I think it was a known fact that he wasn't on the team. I can't say why he wasn't on the team. I can't even point out that say that any individual put him off the team. You know, basketball is a game built on relationships, and that team was put together based on relationships, players that they felt could get along, players that they felt could play together, and players that they felt like could contribute in the right way to win a gold medal. And you know what? Dominique Wilkins was left off of that team. And I personally feel as bad as anyone to see a guy who
being there and you guys are playing, you know, and the guys are talking to one another. Some guys are also kind of like, wow, he's here, but Isaiah's not here. Was it a known fact that Isaiah wasn't on because of Michael?
is a game built on relationships. And that team was put together based on relationships, players that they felt could get along, players that they felt could play together, and players that they felt like could contribute in the right way to win a gold medal. And you know what? Dominique Wilkins was left off of that team. And I personally feel as bad as anyone to see a guy who I idolized, who I looked up to, who I guarded, who I defended numerous amount of times, not be a part of that team. But I didn't want to sacrifice my seat to give it up to him. But with all respect, I felt like he deserved to be on that team as well, not just Isaiah.
Well, here's the thing. You're absolutely right, Scottie Pippen. But Isaiah Thomas is better than Dominique Wilkins. He's better than you. You shouldn't have been on the team. That's the thing. You shouldn't have not been on the team. Okay. The fact that Scottie Pippen was on the dream team was a Michael Jordan decision. You were not supposed to be on the dream team. You were barely an all-star. You were a 2-time all-star. That's it. And you guys had just won. Well, when they named you on the team, y'all had won your first NBA championship. And you was only a second-year all-star. How the hell was Scottie Pippen on the dream team? We're still figuring that out now. And Dominique Wilkins had tore his ACL, and they tried to use that as an excuse as to why Dominique wasn't on the team. But Dominique would have been healed and ready to play about time it was time for the All-Star game. But they said, well, we didn't know what he was going to be like, and we didn't want to go in there with one less guy who was injured and all of this nonsense. Then it was like, well, who's it going to be, Isaiah Thomas or Clyde Drexler? Why would Clyde Drexler be in that conversation with Isaiah Thomas about would it be either or when both of those guys was in the NBA Finals in 1990? Here it is 2 years later, and you guys have got them on the outskirts of saying it's either going to be one or the other. And we're praising guys who had never won anything. This is why I don't like these interviews, because these interviews go viral. And then I got to go to sports bars and deal with people like this who heard this interview. Well, Scottie Pippen said, Scottie Pippen don't know a goddamn thing. He's damn near a novice at this. He's so damn young and wet behind the ears. He don't know what the hell going on. Scottie Pippen wasn't the reason they won in Barcelona, wherever the hell they played. He wasn't the reason the Dream Team won. They didn't need Scottie Pippen. Could have been at home. He was there for the ride. Of course, they were going to beat up on those guys. You think Isaiah wasn't going to, the locker room would have been different if Isaiah was there? That's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Y'all play with this guy in the All-Star game. Isaiah is let's get this straight, because I want the real fans to understand something. Real fans understand something. Look at me. I want you to see me. Isaiah Thomas was the president of the Players Union. Not only was he one of the best players in the NBA, two-time world champion, first little man to ever lead a team to a championship, right? Went to 3 straight NBA finals, like 5 straight, like NBA, conference, NFC, what do they call that? The Eastern Conference games, right? Here's the problem that I have with this. Not only was he supposed to be there, y'all as the players voted him to be the president of the Players Union. There is an election and there is a vote. And all the players voted that Isaiah Thomas should be the president of the Players Union. So this guy who you trust enough to be your president of your Players Union, control your money and make the decisions for the players, this is the guy that's a problem in the locker room for the players. This was a Michael Jordan decision. A Michael Jordan decision. You're asking the wrong people, the guy who did this. This was a Michael Jordan decision. Sat down with people like Dick Ebersol, who was very upset with how his story didn't play out on national television. Because for the first time, he's doing sports theater. And because his sports theater didn't work out in his way that he thought it should go, it ended up going in the direction it did. Well, I'll tell you one thing. It takes 7 to 8 to 9, maybe 10 different ways to get things done and to get things put right. It's always steps. Now, if you want to know about the Dream Team, you have to look at the people that he said picked the Dream Team. Scottie Pippen gave you the guy who picked the Dream Team and said Mike was on his team in '88. He wanted Mike on the team again. Michael Jordan declared he wasn't going to play. Well, I've been in the finals. I want to enjoy my summer, so I don't know if I'm going to play. That was his whole description. I didn't know if I was going to play. I didn't know if I was going to play. Michael Jordan was playing, he was going to play. What Michael Jordan was doing is what he always does. Michael Jordan plays victim, and then he goes ahead and plays like, oh, I don't know. Then he wants to control the roster, who's going to be on the team. And that wasn't his decision. That wasn't his decision at all. Mm-mm. The invisible hand made that decision because the invisible hand was mad that Isaiah's, the players union, took away their option play. He took away their luxury call. He reduced the rate and the percentage of how much agents should get from the NBA players. Once he did that, he became the enemy of David Falk, who's Michael Jordan's agent, who's the invisible hand. And David Falk wanted to punish Isaiah Thomas for what he did. Hmm. So that's the narrative and the range in which everyone is going in. But that's the reality of it. Now, Scottie Pippen's interview also became very delusional because people believe Scottie Pippen is one of the greatest players that ever played the game because he played with Michael Jordan in the Bulls. That's not true. We don't look at Will Smith, I mean, not Will Smith, but Will Purdue that way. We don't look at them guys anyway. Well, yeah, the world is seeing a shift. The world is seeing a shift where all of these people who didn't mean anything can rewrite history. Like Scottie Pippen, they won championships in spite of him. They won championships in spite of him against uh, the Suns, the Phoenix Suns. I can't think of any real playoff besides the Lakers series where Scottie Pippen was the key factor in any finals that they had. Period. I really can't find it. I really feel as if a lot of these people, what they say in this game, look at it. Oh, Scotty was a great defender. He gave a lot of people problems with his length, and he was very good for his size because he was ball handling and bringing it up. Scotty was good in transition. He reminded me a lot of LeBron James because he brought the ball up a lot. But when it came down to the pressure type situations, Scottie Pippen would always come up short. When you need someone to get a basket, you couldn't depend on Scottie Pippen to get that basket. He's a role player. And like I said with Middleton, you don't look at Middleton that way at all because he's a Scottie Pippen type player. And they don't know how to put those players in their proper perspective. But because he played with Michael, he got 6 championships with Michael. He said, well, it's because of me. No. You were part of that, but no, it's not because of you, Scottie Pippen. You're Scottie Pippen. Okay? You benefited off Michael Jordan. You got a Nike deal because of Michael Jordan. You got a ring because of Michael Jordan. You got put on the dream team because of Michael Jordan. You made all-star games because of Michael Jordan. There's no reason for the whole world to believe now that you are telling these stories and these lies that you are now this man. We've overlooked it. We got it all wrong. It was Scotty all along. It was Scotty all along. No, it was never Scotty. At no time. Scottie Pippen is what you would call a delusional human being because he's built up and hyped up off of everybody telling this story about him. And Scotty was never a friend to begin with anybody. That's why he's so isolated now. Scotty was never a good person. He's a piece of crap. But the thing was, he was mentally weak. And a player that is that mentally weak, they're always going to be in the grease. Scottie Pippen is always going to be in that situation. Now, with that being said, Scottie Pippen's interview was a complete crap because the interviewer was crap. 2, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, it's like that's the only thing holding on to Scottie Pippen is that he played with Michael. And this is the reason why the Bulls team is all in shambles and the Pistons team is still together to this day. It's because that team was built up with players that don't even deal with each other. Michael Jordan is a piece of crap to play with. He's not the greatest human being. And that's what was displayed. That's what was displayed. That's what was displayed during the whole situation between those two individuals. Scottie Pippen just told you, me and Michael Jordan wasn't friends. He told you flat out, me and Michael Jordan ain't friends. Yep. So, in those estimations of what you think what's going on and what's not happening is essentially clear. When we start talking about the best to ever do it or the best in the game or players of that nation, that ilk, ilk or whatever you want to say, Scottie Pippen's name won't be mentioned and shouldn't be mentioned because LeBron is more of a Scottie Pippen type player, which I agree he is. He's down at the levels of Scottie Pippen. Mentally weak, cannot close games, not clutch. So when Phil Jackson did not want to go to him during the end of the game and gave it to Tony Kukoc, he's mad and butthurt that the Bulls is. I don't understand why the Bulls had to show that play. Why would you don't understand it? I understand why they showed it. I know 100% why they showed that play. I know 100% why they showed that play. Because they wanted to show that when they gave you the reins, you couldn't do it. You had to beg for Michael Jordan to come back to save you. So, mm-hmm. Well, when you start looking at leadership and you start looking at perceptions, you're looking at a darker road for most of these people. Now, Scottie Pippen said some things that were suffice, but overall, it's just some of it isn't true. Hmm. The Bulls won off experience. Like he said, Karl Malone was very strong, and that's why they give so much disrespect to Karl Malone that it's almost laughable when most of these players are like, man, LeBron would dominate Karl Malone. I'm like, geez, you just have no idea what Karl Malone was. But most of these guys were like that back then. They were freak of natures to be that size. They can move the ball up and down the court. So yeah, that's it. So that's how I feel about Scotty and what he had to say in that interview.
I think it was a known fact that he wasn't on the team. I can't say why he wasn't on the team. I can't even point out that say that any individual put him off the team. Basketball is a game built on relationships, and that team was put together based on relationships, players that they felt could get along, players that they felt could play together, and players that they felt like could contribute in the right way to win a gold medal. And you know what? Dominique Wilkins was left off of that team. And I personally feel
lot of people were left off. They should have been on that team. Kevin Johnson should have been on that team. There's a lot of players that they should have been up there. And I felt that was better than Scottie Pippen. You know, hell, I would have took Joe Dumars. Even though Joe Dumars made Dream Team too. So, anyway, I'm going to get up out of here. Love, peace, and hair grease. I'm out. And don't forget to subscribe to the page. Thanks, everybody, for the super chat. And I'm done. That means gone.